Elaborate further, on this nutrition approach, you basically have days where you have less carbohydrates. I have carbohydrates every day. Carbohydrates are sugars. Carbohydrates are found in sports drinks. Carbohydrates are found in juices. So the thought of a carbohydrate as bread is not complete. You have to see carbohydrates as, look at the label of everything you eat and drink specifically. And if you look at things that you drink, like different, soda drinks, Gatorades and stuff like that, different types of fruit juices, all of them have carbohydrates. So it's a source that you're going to have. Desserts all have carbohydrates. Different types of cakes, cookies, they all have carbohydrates. So I say lower carbohydrate days because I have carbohydrates every day. I'll have a different type of sports drink or different type of soda, with my dinner, with my evening meal, almost every day. So sometimes I like to mix it up with some mineral water and some fruit juice combination to make like my own soda. And that's like something I find really delicious. So that's carbohydrates. I like to have a dessert every single day. I feel like people that, follow the modern American diet, they realize that there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And at dinner, there's always a little dessert. I don't know why people have kind of like gone away from that approach. But at dinner time, there's always a little dessert. What a lot of people have done is that they've taken breakfast and added that little dessert to the breakfast every single day. Anytime you see somebody go get something for breakfast that includes pancakes, that's a dessert, guys. Every time you see somebody go for a coffee and that little pastry, that's a dessert. It's every single day for a lot of people. Having it at dinner is the same thing. If you don't have it in the morning, you can have it at night. I like to reserve my dessert for dinner every single day as part of my primary diet. So on days when you're having low carbohydrates, so you're still reducing the carbohydrate intake. Where? In the the main course, you can say. In the main course, the carbohydrate source is not there. So instead of having pasta, spaghetti and meatballs and pasta, you'd be having the meatballs, but you're going to have to replace the pasta with vegetables, with a salad, with different types of vegetables, like different types of tomatoes, different types of peppers, different types of... There's so many different vegetables. I started experimenting with a whole bunch of like pepper, spinach, different types of greens, kale. There's I even made like a stir fry one time. So that was... a stir fry, that was a different meal just to change it up. But I mean, it's just so many things. And you still have your fats. So the fats are very satiating. So you're still having your fats. You're still having your avocados, your oils, your cheeses, your dressings, things like that. Your spicy sauces, all that stuff. You're still having all that. So that's your meal on day 2. So on your day 1, which would be the next day, it's always 1-to-1. It's never 2 days on, two days off. No. That's too much of an extremist situation. It's always 1-to-1, because the fact that the saying that carbohydrates are so important, they are important. So on the next day when you're going to finally reintroduce carbohydrates, well, now you are going to have that, that sub or that pasta meal or a pizza meal or, some whole wheat options, which I like to opt for a lot as well. Some whole wheat tortilla, whole wheat buns, whole wheat, different types of breads, whole wheat pasta as well. You have your fat, you have your protein source. A lot of times when you have the carbs, you'll see that carbs fill up your plate so much that there's actually less there's less of the protein in your higher carbohydrate meals, but it's fine. And then nothing else changes. You still have a lot of people still like to have like a little soda, some juice with their dinner. That's all still going on. Dessert, you still have it going on. But when you stay consistent with something like this, you'll find that you start to develop more energy. And that energy will come, especially around the days where you're not eating those carbohydrates. It'll be very, like for me, it wasn't subtle. It was very surprising. It was subtle to get into the routine of it, but it was very surprising just how much energy I was able to create the day I didn't have carbohydrates. This is energy I never felt before. What is it? It's my body tapping into body fat fuel as energy, because you're not eating the carbohydrates that day. So your body is not having to derive energy from carbohydrates. It's going to derive energy from somewhere else, and it goes into the body fat stores. So it's just a way of deriving energy from your body fat stores, which according to a lot of studies is the most effective way to energize your body. It's more efficient than carbohydrates. depending on your lifestyle. This is the thing that people don't know. And this is not because people are not intelligent. It's because they don't have the experience. So from experience, carbohydrates are the best energy source when you have a physically active lifestyle. You're an extremely active person. You're a professional athlete who trains 4 or 5 hours a day. You're a construction worker like I used to be, who works 8, 9, 10 hours a day physically active, plus exercises after work, stuff like that. You know, anytime where you like, and you have to assess this. You know, you could take, you know, so many different evaluations to see, okay, well, where does my activity level fall into? But it's gonna have a category. If you're physically active, the carbohydrate sources are essential. It's better for you to eat carbohydrates. Your energy will be optimized. Now, if you're sedentary, you have less physical activity. And this is where this diet is so crucial, because you're going to be able to tap into body fat stores and gain all that energy, and you're just sitting down. That energy will benefit you so much, because you're not, you know, if you're exercising a lot, you know, I'm not saying very hard a lot, because if you exercise hard a lot, you're just going to get injured, and you're just going to, you know, you're gonna overshoot your cortisol, and then that's gonna cause you to just like basically have a crash. You know, like you're gonna have to sit down. You're gonna feel horrible, and then that's a different story. You know, if you're exercising a lot in the sense that you're doing a bunch of activity, this is what people don't know. It's a bunch of light activity. It's like being somebody that's on a daily basis doing minimal labor. This is the best way to categorize it. If you do like a blue collar labor job, warehouse work, stuff like that, something where you're moving around all day, I understand that over the course of many years, this type of work will appear to be more, you know, tiresome than it is. But in the beginning, it's not that bad. Otherwise, people would have not made lifelong careers out of it. So just bear in mind that that's basically what high activity is. It's not, you know, being a bodybuilder for 8 hours a day. That's impossible unless you're on steroids. And even in that case, there's exceptions. But that's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about that kind of activity, that kind of labor activity. And a lot of people don't know this experience because they don't have it. You know, especially in modern America, they wake up. You know, they go to school. We're talking about somebody that's about, you know, we're going to go like, they wake up, they have breakfast, lunch, discipline, all that. They go to school. That's all sedentary. They come back home. You know, they do their homework, all sedentary. Maybe they play sports 1 hour. Doesn't matter if you play sports for even 2-3 hours. It's not enough. 2-3 hours is not enough. We're talking about 8 hours here. Plus commute time, which is basically going to and from on foot. All those little extras count. And then those people also exercise. They'll probably add in 30 minutes, maybe an hour a day. So, you know, there's a big difference from like 11, 10 hours of physical activity to 2 after, you know, being sedentary the whole rest of the day. Consider that. And that is basically what you have. So you have the most benefit you're going to have if you have that type of activity, long activity, like the carbohydrates. That's your best source. All of it. Well, carbohydrates will be your staple source. It should always be 65%, always. But the moment you stop, you don't have that activity, carbohydrates, now you have to be more strategic about how you use them. And that strategy comes in the form of cycling them. You know, the days where you're having less of the carbs, I don't feel at all like I'm withholding anything for myself. I find it very satiating to eat I'm still getting my fats, I'm still getting high protein, I'm still getting, delicious dressings, delicious sauces. I do my best to, mix it up with my cheese sources to, create different recipes to, focus on the flavor, focusing on the seasoning, focusing on the marinating, focusing on the cooking process to make the meal as delicious as possible. And then I serve myself a healthy portion. I'm always experiencing good satiation from what I'm eating when I'm having low carbohydrate days. It doesn't feel like a starvation diet at all. And on top of that, the energy benefits are they're so important to me that, cycling the carbohydrates doesn't feel like a drag at all. This is the best thing that I have been able to incorporate ever since I've left my jobs. I no longer have that active lifestyle. And I think that if you go ahead and ratio it out. What is more common, an active lifestyle or a non-active lifestyle? It's a non-active lifestyle. You know, the minority is like active jobs. You know, so this has been probably the most important situation that I've been able to create. I've been trying to find a way to get to this best scenario, and it comes down to the diet. It really just comes down to the diet to get the best out of it. So thanks you guys for getting this far along in the slideshow. You know, this is basically like that slideshow is in like chronological order. So you can basically see how I started off really heavily into fitness, really heavily into bodybuilding. You go ahead and do your 1 hour a day, an hour, 30 minutes a day, focus on the nutrition, focus on that. And that gets you those types of results. But like my body had changed, you know, but my energy level had also improved. So that's basically what I wanted to, you know, to express. You know, I got married, I had my children, you know, and I started my career, and it was physically active. I mean, we're talking about being a drywaller carpenter. We're talking about being a formwork carpenter. We're talking about being a scaffold builder carpenter. And these types of jobs are heavily active. You know, you're outdoors, sometimes you're indoors, but the most consistent thing that you're going to be dealing with is moderate, like light, consistent activity throughout the course of 8-10 hour days. So that this is where the demands of this type of diet become more, you know, prominent, because it's actually it is more demanding than being a, you know, fitness enthusiast that you have 1 hour a day, in a sense, unless you're trying to be a professional fitness athlete. That's a different story, completely different story. And I tried at my best possible, you know, like condition. I tried, you know, it's just that life, you know, once life starts taking off and you find a career path, you know, you kind of settle into that career path. So this is where I'm coming from now, where it's like after having settled into my career path for some, you know, considerable amount of time, and having to leave the trades as my forerunner, I basically left when my children were going to be born, because you know, as a father, I needed to really, you know, get down to the understanding of everything that's going on in terms of my diet, because there's a lot of polarized opinions about diets everywhere you go. It's just a huge topic. So I wanted to put this video together that has a good order of, you guys can see like what I've done. And, you know, the best type of information is like pictures. That's why it's like you see a little story coming out and unfolding, and that's really what I wanted to give to you guys here, like a small short story. All these photos, all these videos, they've just been saved in my phone, and I'm happy to put them out here so that you know just to, you know, get that out there for you guys. I really appreciate you guys watching this, and, you know, thank you.
Exciting. And what about you, Gru? Me?